Hello, everyone, and welcome to Beyond the Forecast. It is Thursday, and I'm StormTracker8 meteorologist Jessica Kirk. And of course, we are back to talk about the big winter storm that we're tracking this weekend. We are now just over 48 hours out from beginning to see those impacts. And again, I'm joined by the one and only Mary Catherine.
Yes.
So I'm not yapping to myself over here.
I know. It's been such a joy to be here.
It's been so wonderful to have you all week. I've had such a great time hosting you guys on Beyond the Forecast. Tomorrow, weather forecaster Tyler Hall is going to be here with some more updates on the storm. So make sure you tune in tomorrow as well, because we're still tracking all the updates with this situation, as always. So we could have some more updates as early as this evening for a newscast, later at 11 p.m., all that good stuff. So just stay here. That's all I can say. We are tracking that cold front that passed through. Mary Catherine, you'll never believe this. I drove to work with my windows down.
I was going to say I feel duped because, I didn't wear a jacket to work today. All I have is, my light jacket and a sweater. It felt so lovely out. It doesn't feel like it's going to be an ice storm.
It really doesn't. It feels surreal for me to be talking about it when it's so nice outside. So for those of you who haven't been outside,
get out there.
This is it. This is the last day. Tomorrow's not going to be that bad either, to be honest, but it is still going to be, low 40s instead of mid 50s, close to 60, which is what we're looking at right now. So definitely go outside if you haven't yet. That's all I'm going to say. That cold front is what's going to bring us in the Arctic air, and then the chance for all of our snow is going to come from a different system. So we have those two things working together, the cold air and the moisture. And you'll notice that the entire state of Virginia, we're going to be under that winter storm watch all the way through Monday. So remember, we have the watches and the warnings. The watch means that it's further out. We usually see these 48 to 72 hours out from when the event's supposed to happen. So it makes sense that the National Weather Service issued this morning, and we are joining the millions across the country who are also being affected by this storm. You can see winter storm warnings in the pink and the winter storm watches in that lightish blue color that we're in. And those are likely going to switch over to winter storm warning, but typically warning is going to be issued about 24 hours out. So I've had a couple folks asking about winter storm warnings. That is likely going to come sometime tomorrow. That would be Friday. If I had to guess, again, National Weather Service makes those calls, but if we're going to get one, it may be that we see that issued tomorrow. So just heads up on that. In terms of what's going on with the system, we're going to have this cold front pass through. We're going to get that Arctic air in place, and we're still monitoring that low pressure system that's going to develop well to the south and west. And then it's going to eventually track up towards the northeast and bring us the chance for snow. We're talking about snow starting on Saturday afternoon. We are still tracking for all of us to begin with the snow, stick with the snow overnight, and then early Sunday, this is right about 3 a.m. That's when we start to see the transition from snow to ice.
So that's when the power outage worries come in, right?
Exactly. Of course, we do have to let the ice accumulate before we see those major problems. So I'm not saying that everyone's power is going to, randomly shut off at 3 a.m., but that's when we could start seeing the ice instead of the snow, especially for folks that are further south in our viewing area. And as the day progresses, we'll be looking at that all shifting up towards the north. And there are still no major changes in the latest model runs. The only slight difference that I will just briefly mention is we could end up seeing a little bit more of a mix with the freezing rain, which would be good news for ice accumulations, because that means we'd be looking at sleet instead of freezing rain, but bad news in terms of the world is going to be like a skating rink. So the roads would still be horrendous. This is set to wrap up early Monday morning, as you have all heard, and then we will be looking much clearer for Monday, but very cold. So the latest on our threats, snow and freezing rain, still at that extreme level. We bumped up sleet just a little bit. If we end up getting more sleet than freezing rain, I do want to reemphasize that would be good news in general. But again, the sleet, when I was talking with meteorologist Madison Ohms and chief meteorologist Matt DiNardo about this, could cause little holes in the snow and the ice, basically, because the sleet is little ice pellets, basically. And then if we get freezing rain after, it's going to fill in all the gaps. And so exactly. And so the sleet is potentially better for widespread power outages. It might taper those down a little bit, but worse in the sense of potentially longer lasting impacts like traveling and stuff and walking out your door. Good luck. Okay, that's all I'm gonna say. Hold on to the railing if you gotta go outside. And of course, we are still tracking those potential for power outages as we go throughout the next couple days. Really looking towards Sunday being the day that we start to see those issues. There we go. Here is our snow and ice accumulations. In fact, my iPad just glitched out on me. I'm so sorry. Let's go back to the snow and ice accumulations, and we'll talk about that in case you guys haven't seen that yet, because I know I didn't have this yesterday during Beyond the Forecast. So if you tuned in,
everybody was asking.
I know. And I just want to say too, I don't want to like call out anybody, but I just want to make sure that we're all on the same page here, and that you look well to the north. Northern Virginia is going to potentially see, as things stand, significantly more snow. We're talking like a foot. And they're going to see significantly lower ice accumulations. You look down towards Metro Richmond, Tri-Cities, out towards Farmville. We are looking at 3 to 6 inches of snow. Still a pretty good snow in my book. With potentially around a fourth to maybe half an inch of ice in some locations. You look further south, and y'all are really not going to get a ton of snow. 1 to 3 inches. And you guys are also in jeopardy of seeing the highest ice accumulations. And if you remember the forecast, it kind of makes sense because the folks that are further south are potentially going to see that switch over to freezing rain earlier than the rest of us. So they're going to have more time to build up. And I've seen a lot of folks, getting back to what I was saying, that are saying, oh, like this snowstorm is not that bad. But people who know. So for some of you guys, you're like, duh. The ice is worse, just quite frankly, than seeing a lot of snow. Because what happens with the ice is we're going to get these higher ice accumulations. And I'll take this full so you guys can see this play out. We have those ice accumulations. This is our in-house model, and I had to edit it a little bit because I think the numbers are overdoing it. But it does show that some models are pulling in even more ice than what we're currently forecasting. So what happens if we get all the ice? Okay, here's a projection saying, quarter to a fourth of an inch in Richmond, maybe close to half an inch for the Tri-Cities, Petersburg, maybe close to half an inch in Crew. You go south towards South Hill and Emporia, and we're still looking at that close to half an inch mark. And that is going to be detrimental for the power outage situation. So even though we're not going to see a ton of snow, these ice accumulations are what's becoming more of a concern. So here's the problem with ice. And I just wanted to spell this out just for folks, even like myself, who I am not like accustomed to ice storms.
Yeah.
If I've seen one, I don't even remember. Like I had snow growing up, but I don't even like remember as a child having like a bad ice storm.
And you hopped all around, right? So
yeah. And a lot of times, at least I lived in Northern Virginia and then up towards Rhode Island and Pennsylvania, and it was typically just like snow. And this is the problem with ice. Again, just for those who don't know, and just to as a reminder for folks who may not remember, it only takes about a fourth of an inch of ice, which, by the way, is in our forecast, to see scattered utility interruptions. We're talking 8 to 24 hours. We're talking maybe not widespread, but at least we are expecting to see power outages. Like that's the bottom line there. When we get up to that half an inch of ice range, we are talking widespread power outages. And oftentimes when that happens, we're looking at more damage than just something they can fix and get your power back on overnight. It may be that some people are out of power for a couple of days. I'm not going to guarantee that, for you and me, even at my house. You know what I mean? I can't tell you who is going to have power for one day and who's not going to have it for one day. But I'm in the mindset of like prepare for maybe 2 to 3 days without power, just because that's not out of the question, especially for folks who are in more southern viewing areas where they are more likely to see the higher ice accumulation. Now, I mentioned this earlier. If we end up seeing a little bit more of the sleet instead of the freezing rain, that would potentially draw those numbers down a little bit. So hopefully we'll see a little bit of some more positives. These are the headlines that we're still following. Viper alert Saturday, Sunday, Monday. Monday, the Viper alert is mainly for the wrapping up of the storm, as well as traveling disruptions on Monday. Monday is not going to be a day that you can just, leave the house.
Well, and before we're doing this episode now, but before this, we had Governor Abigail Spanberger on, and she was asking everyone, just don't leave your homes on Saturday, please. I beg you, do not leave your homes just because of the dangers of the road this weekend.
Absolutely. Beginning Saturday afternoon, I would say be prepared. Saturday, you're inside.
Hunker down.
And again, even if you do have power, you know what I mean? Like even if you never lose power, which is the hope and prayer of all of us. We don't want to see widespread power outages. Even if you have power the whole time, you still might not be able to get out on the road on Monday. So it's like whether or not you have power, plan to be at home for a couple days. That's a great point. We're still tracking significant ice impacts, which leads to the power outages. And then, of course, the snow and ice accumulation. And that does depend on where you are for how much of each that you're likely going to see there. So In terms of the 8-day forecast, really not much has changed. I know the big focus is just this winter storm, so I know that some people are probably like, I don't really care about the 8-day, but it's going to be really cold. So go drive around.
When does the cold air start coming in, Jessica? I might have missed it when you said it, but when can we, because tomorrow I'm seeing 45.
It's going to be cold tomorrow still. I mean, that is when we're going to start to see the effects of the Arctic air. Okay. But you'll notice Saturday morning, 15.
Yeah.
So we're going to be so tomorrow morning will be just below freezing. Saturday afternoon, we will still find ourselves likely in the low 40s, which is still below normal for this time of year, but it's really going to be Saturday that we feel that huge shift. So really, we're talking about 36 hours from now, which is just before 2 p.m. on Thursday afternoon. 36 hours from now, we are going to be in the teens.
Okay.
40 degrees, 50 degrees colder than we are right now. So it's going to be very, very cold. Hence why we're going to be looking at all the wintry precipitation. So, and then next week, remember, we're going to stay below freezing for most of the week. That's why we're concerned about the impacts, just as you were just talking about, Mary Catherine. So, fun stuff.
Fun stuff.
Blast out here.
Absolutely. We're having the time of our lives. We truly are.
We are truly. I hope everyone just stay safe. Of course, we're going to keep you updated with the latest, as always, here. Again, Tyler Hall is going to be in tomorrow. I'll be here all night. Meteorologist Madison Holmes is here. And all 4 of your StormTracker8 team members are going to be here all weekend. All right? We're going to be here. We're covering all the details for you. We'll keep you updated as best we can.
And also, starting at 2, stick around. Mayor Danny Avula has a live press conference to talk about Richmond's preparation. So if you want to stick around for that, we will also be live streaming that at 2 o'clock.
Yep. All good stuff to know. And please take all of that to heart and follow all of the suggestions that are given, because I would rather be over-prepared than under-prepared and see folks out driving around. That's what we don't want, right? So
exactly.
Yep. So I hope you guys have a great Thursday. It's so beautiful. Go outside before this weekend, okay?
Yes.